All the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes only. The investments and strategies contained in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading decisions. Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Monday morning's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, good morning to you, Dennis. The S&P's tried to make a stab there at Friday's high, but got turned back early in the session, and now we're trading down 4.25 points.
Pulling back a little bit here, that key 1400 area looks like it's going to give a little resistance here today. We got as high as 1402, so might be an area to look at on the upside. But we are pulling back here a bit, Joel.
Yeah, I haven't wrote about this in the weekly outlook, or we haven't talked about this a lot, but have you ever noticed on the old Friday, if you either finish near or at a high or a low of the day, that's also the high or the low for the week, but generally you either get a lot of follow through on that number, or it turns out to be a good contrarian play?
Yeah, it looks like the contrarian play here, eh, Joel?
Yeah, well, we'll see. That's what we are here at Pre-Market Info. Well, there's a lot of news here, Dennis, and we got some news on Barnes & Noble here, and it's kind of hard to believe that this stock is trading up $14.25 on a $300 million investment by Microsoft.
Yeah, I know. This seems a little bit overdone to me here, Joel. The stock's trading right now at 27.90. We got to go back on the weeklies to even find any levels here. Actually, the weeklies ain't even good. We got to go back to the monthlies. But the stock's over doubling here on this Microsoft news. Microsoft's going to invest $300 million into Barnes & Noble's online book business there. And the stock, doubling off of that really seems overdone to me, but you never know. Like the stocks, obviously, when I came in, it was trading around 25. It keeps moving up here. 30 will probably give some psychological resistance, but man, you just got to think that people that have owned this thing for a long time, it's been a dog for a long time, you got to think at the open they might come in and take some profits on this, Joel.
Yeah, a couple things from a technical perspective. Dennis, 28.78 was the high back in August of 2009. In the pre-market, Dennis, we have hit 28.20. But we could talk about this in the open and where the stock's going to trade. But the thing, when I look at this daily chart, Dennis, and I look at the day, I would go back to April 23rd. The stock opens at 11.10 and rallies up to $14.
Right.
How does that happen? I mean, and now the stock doubles. Do you think anybody might have got an inclination that this was going to happen back then?
Sometimes, Joel, you wonder if there's insiders that are buying the stocks up. Like, there's been some rumors that BKS was going to get taken over, so there has been some other rumors out there. But, you're always skeptical when you see a move happen, 2 or 3 weeks of serious move up, and then, this kind of news comes out. So, who knows there, Joel? Who knows?
Okay,
well, who knows? We're definitely not on those insiders. So.
Okay, well, it doesn't seem to be having quite the positive effect for Microsoft here, Dennis. Who that stock almost hit the 52-week high after earnings. 32.95 was that number. Got up to 32.89 after earnings. But look at this thing. This stock is stuck, Dennis. 31.83 was the low last week. You made your high on Monday at 32.52. But besides that, Dennis, I mean, this thing is just stuck between 31.80 and 32.20. You think we're finally going to get a breakout in it today?
Got this consolidation period been happening, you're right, for 3 or 4 days here. So you did it pretty good on our weekly outlook. You highlighted whether it's going to break out or break down. If it obviously takes out this low here at 31.83 that we made 4 days ago, because we have multiple lows there in the same area and multiple highs in the same area. So it's winding up to do something, Joel. I'd probably go with the flow and see what happens. This Barnes & Noble deal has no impact on Microsoft probably whatsoever. I mean, $300 million is a small investment for them. The stock's up 6 cents, so it really doesn't care. But Barnes & Noble pretty happy about it.
Okay, just staying in the tech sector, Dennis. Apple Computer here down under $600. I mean, since it hit that 618 high, Dennis, nothing but sellers in this issue.
Been drifting down, drifting down. Yeah, it failed obviously to make a new high. You know, I always liked if you see that 2-day move, the follow through. We didn't get it after the earnings report. I mean, stock goes up 40, 50 points. I guess it's a lot to expect for it to immediately follow through. But, you know, since that high of 618, we're down 20 points here. So you've given back 40% of the move. So that's a little bit concerning. And if we do start to trade under 600 and hold under 600, we're at 597 right now. I think I would have some concern owning this long, Joel.
I just want you to know that my daughters called me an Apple hater too over
Apple
the weekend.
hater. Well, you're an Apple lover, right? You're an Apple lover right there before the report, so you're not always a hater, but it's interesting. I don't know, like the relative strength obviously been very bad the last couple days here. They're digesting. It's had a big move, so it's hard to say. Obviously, you know, we get that breakout day, then we maybe probably get bullish here again, but it's a little concerning that the stock is not showing very much strength here after the report.
Yeah, I still hearken to the news that, and it got very little coverage, that they did had the blowout quarter, but they did guide a little bit lower for the next quarter. You know, normally when a stock does that, there's a negative reaction. I guess because the current quarter was so fantastic, that everyone just wanted to, to look at the good and look at the potential because they might have hit all those sales of the iPads and the iPhones. Maybe they came together at the right time and hit it on the front end. And I also saw some fundamental news on Apple this morning that perhaps that they're avoiding billions of dollars in taxes by some subsidies to overseas suppliers and distributors. So, getting a little bit, the Apple's getting to be a little bit tarnished, but we got other stocks to talk about here on pre-market info. Big takeover in the natural gas arena.
Sunoco getting bought out there by ETP, which is Energy Transfer Partners. Sunoco actually trading up here. That's going to trade off ETP now. I think the ratio, I'll bring it up for you here. $25 in cash and 0.52 shares of ETP. So that's your ratio for you merger arb traders out there. ETP getting a lift off it too. So both stocks going up. ETP actually trading at $49 right now, Joel. The stock topped out at $50.12 back in early February. So I'd maybe look at that. Obviously, Sunoco's just going to trade off the ETP price. So if you're trading Sunoco, have ETP obviously up on the board, and it's trading at 49 bucks. Or I'm sorry, Sunoco actually is trading at 49.66 right now. So both stocks getting a lift. This could put a little bit of upward pressure in the whole entire natural gas sector here, though, Joel, because you have a lot of natural gas stocks that have been very, very, very weak. Obviously, natural gas is at multi-year lows, so the natural gas stocks have all been thrown out. You wonder if this could spark a little bit of rally in the sector, Joel.
Yeah, just going back to that Sunoco chart a little bit, sticking with our Barnes and Noble theme. You had a nice little march up here just a few days ago. This thing was at $38, and now it marches and closes right on the high on Friday, right up near 41, and then lo and behold, on Monday morning we have a takeover. So that's another interesting pattern to follow. ETP getting a boost well from the merger in the pre-market. I have to see if this stock comes back and kisses that $48 level. Sure had a hard time getting through there for several days, and now we're above it. So I consider it in a breakout mode, but I would not be surprised to see this thing come back to $48. Chucky, Chesapeake Energy, that stock's been plagued by the shenanigans of its CFO. Boy, you could call it a triple bottom here from the low that it made yesterday. If you want to try and take a low risk position here, buying into this area with a stop under $17, you're banking that the low's in. But boy, this thing's been straight down from 26, Dennis. I think you kind of maybe a little bit early on this one.
The stock's been straight down for years here, Joel. I'll just bring you up on the monthlies. I mean, let's go back to '08. The stock topped out at $74, believe it or not. Then we tanked, obviously, when the financial crisis. They were concerned, that the stock actually might be too levered. It might even have problems and go under in the financial crisis. Obviously came back, and we ride a lot of that back, but it's been having a tough time of it here in the last 3 months. Straight down from early March high of 26. The high there was 26.09. Moving straight down. We have found some consolidation in the 17 to 18 area. I'd really like it to take out that 1857 high that it made just a few days ago before I maybe get bullish on this thing. Otherwise, this might just be a dead cat bounce, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, $19. That was a double bottom there before it gapped too. So, just like some of these other stocks that we've talked about in the Big Ten, it's pretty heavily traded issue. These stocks get weighted down with people underwater, and it really takes a lot to bring them back up. Also, unless I missed something in the news, I mean, no one's really figured out a way to use natural gas instead of oil, Dennis. So, I mean, I don't see a rush out to buy these stocks or nat gas futures for that matter.
And moving right along here, Joel, we've got obviously a few other movers, but I want to highlight one: Procter and Gamble getting a downgrade by Oppenheimer. Now, this is what we highlighted here a couple of months ago when Procter and Gamble had this sell-off. I think it was the one in late January, early February, and everybody started downgrading and ganging up on it and downgrading the stock. Then they came out with their cost-cutting measures. Stock went way up to the resistance level, 68. So the analysts all had it wrong. They started upgrading it up there, Joel. And now that it's fallen off here, Oppenheimer coming out and downgrading. I mean, the analysts have been dead wrong on this Procter & Gamble issue here. A lot of times your analysts do a pretty decent job. They're not doing a decent job on this issue at all, and I think we should call them out. Not saying that Procter & Gamble's not going lower here, but last time everybody was ganging up and downgraded, the stock bottom, Joel.
Yeah, and we had also tried to highlight just the huge institutional orders that were on the sell side in Procter Gamble all through February, March, and April. Huge size, being traded in front of by the high frequency trading crowd, and then jumping on the board when it finally goes through. Ran into a whole lot of problems at 68. I mean, looking at this chart here, Dennis, it kind of in no man's land. You've had the yearly range from 60 to 68. We've come back and hit that 64, just under that yesterday. But Procter & Gamble is one of those stocks, Dennis, that will make, it will make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lows in the same area, and get some firm ground and then take off. Here you have one low. You have one low at 63.95, trading down a little bit in the pre-market. I think you have to look to see what happens at this $64 level. Also you got to kind of gauge this if the market also is going into reverse, that will put some problems on it. And then also a problem with a stock like this, when you get a bounce like this, is you have a lot of short-term algorithmic traders that are looking at standard deviations and blah blah blah. Bought this thing, on the dip, bought it all the way down. They're looking for 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents. They're not looking, to make a career out of holding Procter Gamble. So you're gonna have problems going up to Friday's high, which is still $1 away, and then you also have that huge gap.
Yeah, and so what Joel's just basically getting at here is this stock, obviously picking a bottom in the stock is dangerous, and why not? If it's going to give you 4 or 5 chances at it, why not wait till the third or fourth try at it there? So I agree with him. I don't think you have to go out and buy this thing at 64 today if it gets there thinking that's going to be in. You'll probably get 3 or 4 cracks at it before it really starts to take up. So wait for it to make that nice bottom like it did back in February and started making higher highs and higher lows. That's when I'd get interested. So hard to pick a bottom on this one here, Joel. Humana, HUM, reported earnings. Every healthcare provider here that has reported so far has disappointed. We've had Aetna was disappointing there last week. I think it was Coventry Healthcare disappointed last week. So predictably, Humana disappoints as well. Stock's trading down pretty significantly. It's down over 3 points in the pre-market at 84.55. Symbols HUM out there. It did bottom in February at $84. And the other thing I'd like you to note is that some of these healthcare providers actually did bounce after they had their initial sell-off early in the morning after the reports. So not saying, you should be a bottom picker and buy an $84 open on this thing, but it has the potential to bounce off that area.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, Dennis, because 84th is what it hit in the pre-market, just on 500 shares. But if you go back, Dennis, really since December, I mean, you've had multiple lows between 84.50 and 85, and it's bounced just about every time. I mean, of course, this is associated with some negative earnings, but I'd have to see how this stock, if it can get back over 85 within the next couple days and settle above there, then you could be looking at the $80 level. But this is a major area. It's held, like I said, for a long time, since mid-December. You've hit there in the pre-market. You got a tad of a bounce, but 85 should be a good swing number today. And we also should keep an eye out on this one for the next few days because this 85 level is huge.
NYX reported earnings here too, Joel. It's not one we talk about a lot. It actually hasn't even had a trade in the pre-market yet after the earnings report. It is offered down 26.75. The best bid's at 26.55. So New York Stock Exchange looks like it's going to be a quiet open for it despite having the earnings. We had the low at 26.37 from about a week and a half ago. That probably is going to be some key support area because back in February you had 26.29 and 26.35 lows there too. So this whole 26.30 area has given it support. Gets down there, that might hold. I mean, it's hard. This is a thinner stock, so it can really move there too. What do you think of NYX?
I mean, it's, some stocks I'm kind of inherently bearish, and other stocks I'm kind of inherently bullish. This one I kind of lead to the bull side, just because I think that they provide a good market, and they still do a lion's share of the volume. Obviously, it's been taken away by the other exchanges and the high frequency trading, but 26.37. I mean, that was the low that you had on this stock not too long ago. I would look at that area, 26.40, as excellent support. Low risk buy at that area. Like I said, nothing in the pre-market. If it goes into any kind of rally mode, or if you're looking to buy this thing on a breakout, you're gonna have to wait until it breaks above $28. That's put the cap on this stock really for almost the whole month of April. So 28 on the upside looks like major resistance, and also this whole low to mid 26 area. I see 26.24 was a low back in January. So kind of a big range, but really can't do a lot with the stock yet.
That's all I've got for you for movers here, Joel. Any closing thoughts on the market?
Just to go back to that Monday follow through thing, we did get rejected there at Friday's high, which was 1403. We hit 1402.50. We're peeling back here now. I don't see a lot of support in this thing until you get to Friday's low. We'll see if they run back and take another shot at that $1,400 level. Dennis, and then we wrote about this and then talked about this with all that good news and all those earnings out there and everybody beating and raising and stock splits and everything. I'm just surprised the market didn't make a new high. Maybe it will this week, but if the market can't make a new high with all the good news that we had last week, we could be still in that correction mode.
Possible there, Joel. I think you've highlighted a good number above that 1400, so 1402.50 being the high from today. We stay below there. Maybe you do get a little pullback here. I'm inherently a little bit bullish here. I think you had that little double bottom there from last week, so from the Monday session where it made the double bottom around the 1354, and we've been straight up. And I always like it that you can catch the shorts because that's where people start getting bearish. That's usually where I'm getting bullish. I'm usually a contrarian at heart. So when everybody else is basically selling, I'm usually one that starts to think about buying, and sometimes that gets you hurt, sometimes it doesn't. But I think if we can start breaking up above this 1402.50 high here today, get some follow through, maybe we can attack that high here earlier or later in the week.
Well, hopefully we won't have to wait until Friday's unemployment number for a resolution to the bull versus bear here on premarketinfo.com. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow.